and I talked to one of the refs when she checks in. Hey, we got history from the first game.
There's not just a voice. There's these pictures, that have come out. And I know a lot of people immediately want to say, well, these are, they're not real pictures, right? They're doctored photographs. But this one I saw, I was like, man, that's actually the girlfriend in the background.
You seem concerned but hopeful.
I'm only hopeful if she doesn't win. If she wins, we're going to have a real problem in this country. And the problem will be on the world level, it'll be on a national level, and it'll be on a state level. I don't know what she brings to the table other than disaster.
Brittney Griner's Olympic dream wasn't crushed on the court, but in a courtroom by Jeanine Pirro, a TV judge turned legal bulldog. Yes, you heard that right. Griner, one of the most recognizable names in women's basketball, just got blindsided in the most shocking legal battle anyone could imagine. And the result? She's out of the Olympics. If you clicked wondering how this could even happen, let's break it down because this might just be the wildest twist women's basketball has ever seen. When news first broke that Jeanine Pirro was taking Brittney Griner to court, fans didn't even know how to react. It sounded like something pulled out of a late-night comedy skit, not real life. But it was very real, and the stakes were even higher than anyone thought. We're not talking about fines, suspensions, or a PR scandal. We're talking about the Olympics, the biggest stage in the world of sports. Piro walked into this fight not as a former judge or TV personality, but as someone who claimed she was standing up for the integrity of women's athletics. That alone made people raise eyebrows. Why would someone outside the game go after one of the WNBA's most prominent stars? And yet, she did. From the very first hearing, it became clear this wasn't going to be brushed aside. The case was granted legitimacy by the court, and suddenly what felt like a sideshow turned into a headline event. Everyone wanted to know, what evidence could Piro possibly have, and could she really take down Brittney Griner at the height of her career? The courtroom became the new arena. On one side, Griner's legal team tried to paint this case as ridiculous, unnecessary, and completely out of bounds. On the other side, Piro stood tall, bringing heat with claims that went way beyond simple trash talk. She accused Griner of undermining the very spirit of women's competition. Training methods, international career decisions, and whispers of unfair advantages were all dragged into the spotlight. You could feel the tension in every session. Judges weren't laughing. They leaned in. They listened. And as the case unfolded, the dynamic started to shift. Griner, who was used to dominating on the court, suddenly looked vulnerable in an environment she couldn't control. Every time Piro's team presented a new angle, it added weight. It wasn't about points or rebounds anymore. It was about credibility, fairness, and whether Griner's Olympic eligibility could even survive the cross-examination. The crazy part? Week after week, Piro kept landing blows. Instead of this lawsuit fading away, it grew into something bigger, and fans watching from the outside couldn't believe Griner was actually in trouble. Then came the moment that changed everything. The judges delivered their ruling, and it sent shockwaves through sports. Brittney Griner was officially barred from competing in the upcoming Olympics. Just like that, her path to representing her country on the world's biggest stage was gone. For a player who has built her reputation on global competition, this wasn't just a setback, it was devastating. Analysts immediately called it the harshest punishment ever handed down in modern sports. People couldn't wrap their heads around it. How could a courtroom decision, led by someone who's never stepped foot on a professional basketball court, decide the Olympic fate of one of the game's top players? Outside the courthouse, Piro wasted no time making her voice heard. She claimed victory not for herself, but for women everywhere, calling it proof that cheating and bending the rules would never be tolerated. Meanwhile, Griner stood stunned, barely able to process what had just happened. For someone so used to controlling the paint, she had just been boxed out in a way no defender had ever managed before. The ruling was official, and the consequences were massive. The ruling didn't just stop Griner from chasing Olympic gold, it completely flipped how people looked at her. She walked into the courtroom as a star, someone larger than life in the Wnba, a name you couldn't avoid if you followed basketball. She walked out as someone under a cloud of suspicion, someone mocked for letting a TV judge expose her weaknesses. Analysts who once praised her skill started questioning her credibility. Fans who saw her as untouchable suddenly had doubts. The fact that she barely spoke after the verdict only made her look weaker, almost as if she had no defense left. It wasn't the image of a dominant center who blocks shots with ease. It was the image of someone unprepared, caught flat-footed, and left to deal with the fallout. Griner has had her share of controversies before, but this one hit differently. It didn't matter how many points she scored in the past, or how many highlights she created. At this moment, she looked like an athlete who had been thoroughly outplayed. And the person who did it wasn't an all-star forward or a rival coach. It was Jeanine Pirro, standing outside the arena with a legal ruling in hand. As if the courtroom loss wasn't damaging enough, something else began swirling almost immediately. Gender reports about Brittney Griner resurfaced, with questions and speculation about whether she had an unfair advantage. These whispers have followed her throughout her career, but this time they were given a new platform. Piro's legal team didn't shy away from the topic either, reportedly bringing it up as part of their argument. Suddenly, the conversation shifted from basketball skills and Olympic eligibility to biology and fairness in women's sports. Whether people believed the reports or not, the fact they were tied to a legal decision made them louder than ever. Griner found herself mocked in ways that went beyond her game, with critics openly questioning if she ever belonged in the women's division at all. It was ugly, it was controversial, and it only fueled Piro's victory further. For Griner, it wasn't just about losing an Olympic dream anymore. It was about fighting a perception war that had just been reignited in the harshest way possible. And once that kind of debate starts, it's nearly impossible to silence. Think about what this ruling really means. The Olympics aren't just another tournament. For athletes, they are the ultimate goal, the pinnacle of years of training, sacrifice, and dedication. Griner had already been seen as a lock for Team USA, a player expected to dominate on the international stage again. Now, all of that is gone. She isn't just sidelined for a game or even a season, she's completely stripped of the chance to compete for her country. That's the kind of blow you can't easily recover from. Fans expected to see her wear the red, white, and blue. Instead, they'll watch her sit at home, wondering how it all unraveled so fast. Financially, this hurts too. Olympic exposure leads to endorsements, global recognition, and opportunities that extend far beyond the court. Without it, Griner's future looks a lot less certain. And emotionally, it's devastating. Imagine spending your entire life preparing for a moment, only to have it snatched away in a courtroom, not an arena. For Griner, this ruling doesn't just bruise her reputation, it shatters her legacy. On the other side, Jeanine Pirro celebrated like she had just hit a game winner. Standing outside the courthouse, she declared the ruling wasn't just a win for her, but for women everywhere. She said this case set a new standard that no athlete, no matter how famous, could bend the rules without consequences. Her words cut deep, and they spread quickly. To some, she sounded like a hero defending fairness in sports. To others, she was just cashing in on the spotlight. Either way, Piro owned the moment. She painted herself as the protector of integrity, someone willing to challenge even the biggest names in athletics. And the truth is, she came out looking stronger than ever. Whether you agree with her or not, you can't deny that she completely flipped the script. Brittney Griner, the Wnba legend, was left silent, while Piro, the TV judge, walked away as the victor. It was surreal, it was dramatic, and it felt like the kind of moment that would be replayed for years to come whenever people talk about consequences in sports. The ripple effect across the Wnba was immediate. Some players were stunned, unable to believe that one of their own could be sidelined in such an unprecedented way. Others, behind closed doors, weren't as sympathetic. There were whispers that some athletes felt Griner had been coasting on her name for years, and this ruling exposed her. The league itself faced an awkward position. Do you defend one of your most high-profile stars, or do you quietly let the controversy fade? For younger players trying to make a name, the message was clear: fame doesn't protect you forever. The reaction wasn't uniform, and that division made the league look fractured. Some stood by Griner, calling the ruling unfair and disproportionate. Others distanced themselves, perhaps relieved to see someone else take the heat for once. In the end, the WNBA's silence said almost as much as the ruling itself. It revealed how fragile reputations are and how quickly the spotlight can turn into a floodlight exposing every flaw. Griner's team immediately vowed to appeal, but experts quickly pointed out how difficult that path would be. Once a ruling like this is in place, overturning it isn't easy. The legal weight is heavy, and Piro's team knows it. At the same time, rumors started flying about what Piro might do next. Some even speculated she could go after other big-name athletes if she wanted to make another statement. Names like LeBron James and Serena Williams have been tossed around in fan conversations. While it's unlikely, the fact that people even imagine it shows just how much attention this case grabbed. Meanwhile, reports surfaced that Griner's past accolades could be reviewed under new scrutiny, meaning her legacy itself could be rewritten. Appeals, investigations, speculation, all of it points to one thing. This saga isn't over. The courtroom might have delivered one ruling, but the real fight for Griner is only beginning. And honestly, the odds don't look great. When you step back and look at this whole situation, it feels bigger than just Jeanine Pirro versus Brittney Griner. It's about the way rules are enforced, who gets to decide fairness, and how much power a courtroom can have over sports. For years, fans assumed that what happened on the court stayed on the court. This case proved otherwise. It showed that reputations, legacies, and even Olympic dreams can be destroyed outside the arena. For Piro, it's the ultimate power play. She's cemented herself as a figure who isn't afraid to challenge giants. For Griner, it's the harshest defeat of her career, one she may never recover from.